George Pickens has finally spoken out on contract talks as the Dallas Cowboys star wide receiver is in the midst of his final year under contract. And as most things come down to around over here, it all comes down to what Jerry Jones wants to do. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Cowboys Football 365. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, hit that subscribe button. But getting into the news for today, coming from John Machota on Twitter or X, Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens was asked on if he'd like to get a new contract done now or wait until the offseason. George Pickens responded, "That's kind of up to what Jerry Jones wants to do. All I can do is perform at my best." This is a very mature answer from George Pickens, a wide receiver who has been much maligned about not being the most mature wide receiver in the world, playing the position where usually you expect your wide receivers to be the diva. You expect the wide receivers to be me, give me the football. I can do this. I deserve all the carries. But that's not what George Pickens is doing here. He is actually taking the high road, giving the exact perfect answer. And what an answer like this does for your front office is it avoids a media firestorm, which makes it everything so much easier. Jerry Jones can now manage what he has to get done before the George Pickens contract negotiations start, because the line that I haven't read from this tweet yet, which is kind of crazy, Pickens has said there has not been any discussions yet on a contract extension for him, which is very surprising, seeing how George Pickens is currently in the middle of a breakout season. If we look at his stats so far, 43 receptions, 685 yards, and 6 touchdowns for the young wide receiver out of the University of Georgia. George Pickens, he's a big body who loves to moss people, doesn't get the most separation in the world, but he's a wide receiver one, and we are very fortunate to be able to have two wide receiver ones on the same team with Ceedee Lamb and George Pickens lining up next to each other. It stretches defenses in so many new ways. Pickens can go deep and stress the outside, where Ceedee Lamb will wreak havoc over the middle while Pickens is doing that. So you could argue that it would be very important to sign George Pickens to the contract that he's deserving of before the season ends, because once he hits free agency, once he gets to the open market, the price is only going to go up. That gives other teams the opportunity to bid against the Dallas Cowboys to try to get their star wide receiver. And more from Sports Illustrated, they wrote, "Pickens has proven that he's deserving of a big contract, but what exactly would a new deal look like? If Pickens did command a salary north of $30 million, it's fair to ask if Jones would be willing to write the check. Sure, the Cowboys can afford it, but Jones has been reluctant to sign extensions of this magnitude, and that's why Pickens is correct in saying it's all about what Jones wants to do." So, just like most things with the Dallas Cowboys, whether or not George Pickens is going to get signed or not, it's going to come down to whatever Jerry Jones wants to do. And what is important to hear is Sports Illustrated is writing that Dallas is, doesn't really usually give out these big extensions, but I would push back on that because Ceedee Lamb was up for a huge contract extension, was given the big contract extension. Dak Precott was up for the huge contract extension. He was given the contract extension. Now, George Pickens is the next guy up for the contract extension, and those two extensions prove that they're not afraid of handing out monster contracts if they believe that that is in the right interest of the team. Now, George Pickens was picked up in the offseason in a trade from the Pittsburgh Steelers. The trade saw a 3rd round pick and a 5th round pick going to Pittsburgh, and George Pickens and a 6th round pick was given back to the Dallas Cowboys. Now, you may say you have to sign him because you already gave up those draft picks and you don't want to be too low on draft capital, but we have to remember the Dallas Cowboys still have extra draft capital because of the Micah Parsons trade. We have 2 first round picks in 2025 or 2026. And then 2 first round picks in 2027. So if you would want to watch and let George Pickens walk out the door, there still is draft capital that we can use to hope to replace him. There are a couple good wide receivers in the draft this season, and there's going to be some absolutely otherworldly wide receivers coming out in 2027. So there are potential replacements for George Pickens if you want to go that route. The connection that I like to make with the Dallas Cowboys is you don't want to turn into the Cincinnati Bengals, where they have the quarterback signed to a monster contract and then 2 wide receivers also both signed to monster contracts. Right now, the Bengals defense is hopeless and the offense can't keep up with it. Even when Joe Burrow was healthy, he set all kinds of records in 2024 and the team didn't even make the playoffs. That's not where the Dallas Cowboys want to be. we want to not only have a prolific offense the way we do, but we want to be able to have an entire team, not just an offense. It's about it's a team game. You got to win football games as a team. But speaking of the money, the dollar figures, if we want to go into some of the highest paid wide receivers in the league, we could see Ceedee on the list, but Jamar and Jefferson both getting north of $34 million per year. That's off the table for George Pickens. He is not in that range of that type of wide receiver. So we have to look then at DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, and Brandon Ayuk. The thing that all of these wide receivers have in common is they are all making $30 million or more on a yearly annual basis. So that's where you would expect George Pickens to be if the Cowboys allow him to hit the open market. Spot Track, a website that looks into historical contracts. They look at a player's stats and their age and the way they're trending, and they use that to predict analytically what their contract will look like going forwards. They predicted George Pickens to be signing in the neighborhood of $28 million, $750,000. So just under $29 million, which would put him under Brandon Ayuk and actually completely off this chart. But remember, this chart with all these scary big numbers is only if you let George Pickens hit free agency. So right now, I have no doubt that Jerry Jones is focused on not extending an in-house player like George Pickens, but looking at the trade market and who can the Dallas Cowboys bring in to bring more value to this team and to help this team win right now. The defense is not even close to good enough, and we could still use another backup running back if the Dallas Cowboys don't have a ton of faith in Jaden Blue. And so far, he's looked okay, but not as good as you'd like to see out of your backup running back, because we have to remember running back is a position where your starting running back is going to get hurt a lot. You have to make sure you have guys ready to go as the replacement if that starting running back does go down. But speaking of ready to go, the Dallas Cowboys next Monday are matched up against the Arizona Cardinals. Today on Thursday, Kyler Murray was a limited participant in practice. This would be worrisome if the Arizona Cardinals were playing on Sunday, and then you would wait till Friday to see how well Kyler Murray practiced. But since they're playing on Monday, they have an extra day off. They could just be being cautious with their starting quarterback. So Kyler Murray is currently expected to play, but pay attention to his injury diagnoses leading up to the game. He may not be playing against the Dallas Cowboys. We might be getting Jacoby Brissett, their backup quarterback, who actually lit up the Indianapolis Colts a couple weeks ago, which that team is playing really, really well. Don't sleep on the backup quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals. After that, Raiders, another very winnable game for the Dallas Cowboys. We got to make sure that there's no drama in the locker room. George Pickens did a great job at not creating drama. Don't create a story. Don't give the media anything to run with. That's exactly what you should be doing. Then Eagles, Chiefs, a ton of fun games on the Dallas Cowboys schedule coming up. I can't wait to watch them. They should be a ton of fun, honestly. Can't wait to watch these games. But that's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Cowboys.